Welcome to the Turtle Shell Therapy Institute, a podcast made to help you learn how to feel more comfortable inside and outside of your shell. Hello, welcome back. I'm your host, James Nee Hundley. Today we're joined with Samantha Sprinkle. Samantha is the founder of Mystic Massage Wellbeing. She's a licensed massage therapist, Reiki Master Practitioner, and a Wild Woman Project Circle leader. She's been serving the Denver metro community with therapeutic massage and Reiki energy healing for the past 11 years. She graduated from the Denver School of Massage Therapy in 2011. Since obtaining her license to practice, she's taken various continuing education classes, including training with the Upledger Institute in craniosacral therapy and deep feet bar therapy and ashiatsu massage. In 2017, she was attuned to Usui Reiki. In the years to follow, she continued to deepen her training in Reiki healing. She's now working towards becoming a Reiki teacher so she can share this healing modality in a greater capacity. This opening to the subtle energy field and healing drastically enhanced her intuitive touch and shifted Samantha's approach to bodywork, as well as to her personal perspectives of life. In June 2022, Samantha launched her business, Mystic Massage Wellbeing. Mystic Massage Wellbeing aims to elevate the quality of life by utilizing the power of therapeutic touch, massage therapy, Reiki energy healing, and other healing modalities. In early 2023, she launched the Wisdom Well blog, a place to dive deeper on various topics such as self-care, massage, and energy practices. In the fall of 2022, Samantha completed her certification with the Wild Women Project. The Wild Women Project was the catalyst for her to officially hold New Moon Women's Circles, doing so with the intention to empower women and connect them to the inner magic that is always available to all of us. Samantha, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And one thing I can say, too, to everybody is I have actually worked with Samantha. I have actually experienced her practices before. Definitely got to say the integrated approach that you have is just really, really I love it. Like I have felt it's really helped me release some clogged energy, definitely helped me get some like tension and like even like knots out where I feel like I was holding a lot of my stress and a lot of anxiety and other feelings. Yeah. So just want to attest to that. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've greatly enjoyed working with you, and I feel like it's been just an honor to get to be a part of, that part of your healing journey, and that's so cool to just receive that feedback. But yeah, it's the body work and energy work and kind of mingling them together is, it's unlike anything else I feel like that I've truly experienced. Like doing them solely and separately can be incredibly powerful too, but I love combining them both,
Oh, yeah, no, that's not. And it makes sense, too. I mean, they go so well together. I mean, energy, chakras, the body. And I mean, like we've been talking about, too, on this show, how trauma gets stored in the body and different lived experiences get stored.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think, when I think about that concept of body work and energy work going together and like the chakras and everything you just spoke to is, our energy field and our chakras, those, energy centers within the body, they are a part of us. We often will go to the physical body, oh, my shoulder hurts or whatever it is. But it's like, well, that could have an effect also in your energy field, or maybe something happened energetically that then it's, like you said, then being stored into the body, whether that's emotions or trauma specific or whatever it is. So I really feel like to treat and to approach everything as a whole it just makes sense to me. And it makes it feel more complete because we are whole, and that is all of it, right? That's the physical, the energy, the emotional, all those levels.
Oh, absolutely. So I spoke a little bit to Mystic Massage, your business and a little bit of the services that you offer. But if you wouldn't mind just like elaborating a little bit more, how does Mystic Massage do its mission?
Sure. Yeah. So, I think a good place to start with is I love it a lot is our tagline, which is elevating the human experience one massage at a time.
Oh, nice. Love that.
And I think that that's a good way to just like kind of put everything that we just spoke to into one sentence. But in terms of what I offer there and the services and everything, it's it's primarily body work in terms of therapeutic massage. So that can look a variety of ways, but it also has the components of Reiki and energy work. I do essentially it's like a chakra reading. I call it the Mystic Being check-in, where I use pendulum to check in with like the energy flow of each chakra, and from there, we see how things are flowing, and then I, connect in with the client and talk about that a little bit as well. And so that's been a really fun thing and feels like it's actually one of the core services that I feel like people have been exploring and playing with, which has been so amazing. And it's also been really incredible for me on that part of it because it's helping me what's the best way to say? It's like helping me to channel and use that knowledge because different things will come through for different clients, which can happen with Reiki anyway. When you're receiving Reiki or giving Reiki, sometimes you might get little pings of information or aha moments, things like that can happen. And so this almost creates a container for that to come through. And then what's also beautiful and what I love about it is that doing that really helps empower the client because it gives you a basis for, okay, this is kind of where how I'm showing up energetically right now or how it's showing up in my system. And then based on what we talk about and what we do in the session from there can give you a starting place of like, okay, yeah, I want to work with my heart chakra, we'll say, for example. And so with that, it's like, maybe there's some practices or just intentionally you can walk away from that session being like, I'm going to send some energy to this attention and energy to this area of the body, or, maybe a practice or something will come through that we discussed as something to work with in your session. So it's really cool to give the client a space of knowing, where they are and getting to take that information and do with it what they feel best. And of course, anything that comes through, if it doesn't resonate, is welcome to be left aside. Because I do always say it's like coming through my lens, but it's your field, it's your body, So that's probably my favorite thing. Other than that, yeah, we get into some really traditional massage therapy in terms of like, maybe helping with injuries or post-surgeries or just chronic holding patterns, addressing posture. Headaches is a big one. Definitely help a lot of people move through, if they're experiencing headaches a lot. I also practice craniosacral therapy, which has been really profound and is another way where I feel like we're kind of able to blend these modalities because it does have an energy and intention component to it, but it also is very visceral. So we're working with the body and the fascia in that modality. And so that's also been one that I really enjoy implementing when it feels right.
Can you explain a little bit? I've heard of craniosacral therapy, but I guess I don't actually know what it is.
Sure. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Well, and this is cool. So the first blog post that I put up on Wisdom Well is actually on craniosacral therapy. So if anyone wants to dive a little bit more into like the ins and outs of that is up there and available. But essentially what that is we're working with the craniosacral system. So from your head to your sacrum and the spinal cord, essentially. So the cerebral spinal fluid and the fascia is like what we're addressing. So when I'll go into, it looks like gentle, like pressured holds. So instead of like massage where there's maybe a little bit more movement or more pressure, it's more holds over certain areas of the body. And what we're doing, or what I'm doing in that, is really just holding and allowing your innate wisdom to come through and your body to kind of reorganize itself. And by giving it that energy, giving it that space to address and move your fascia, we're working with the fascia, so it allows the body to adjust and move through chronic patterns or release, or just, kind of shift it however it wants to move, essentially. So it's really a powerful but subtle, often subtle technique. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things that it has helped with, because when we're doing it, we're helping the body release patterns, which then allows the cranial sacral fluid rhythm to balance out. So I'm looking for a specific pattern when I'm doing the work to see, okay, is there restrictions here, or, kind of, so I can kind of just feel into some of that, and then work accordingly, essentially. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. That's really cool too. And and like you said, that intuitive touch, you've learned how to be able to feel those patterns just through, that's what I was thinking of, is okay, I know when I've done a few treatments with you, you do hold my head, and it feels really nice, actually. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're doing in those moments, or is that
it would depend on which specific, moment we're referring to, but oftentimes it is incorporated there. Reiki also has a lot of those holds around the head, but so does the craniosacral. And so because I'm trained in Reiki, and that's how I know how to really work with energy, when I'm doing craniosacral therapy, I'm also incorporating Reiki as that energy component of it. So yeah, so it is often, I would say yes. The answer is probably yes to when I'm holding your head like that. And the intuitive touch part it's developed in numerous ways for me, but the cranial sacral therapy, what it's really taught me was how to use less pressure. I mean, if you're doing it as trained, typically it's only the weight of a nickel is the amount of pressure that you're using, so it can be very light, or should be very light, because that's allowing the body then to respond to the touch, instead of me going in and manipulating the soft tissue, which is more of what we do in traditional massage.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, and I, when you were talking about the chakra reading too, that I really like that. And it's really cool to hear how you incorporate craniosacral therapy with Reiki. Would you mind just going through the 7 chakras and, maybe talking a little bit more defining Reiki? Because I think a lot of people have heard of it, but aren't really sure exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start with that part of it. So Reiki is a gentle hands-on healing modality. It comes from ancient Japanese teachings, at least Usui Reiki, which is what I'm trained in, and it helps balance and bring healing to mind, body, and spirit. So it helps on all the levels. It can do no harm. It is essentially when you're utilizing Reiki, or what I'm doing as a facilitator of it, is I'm channeling life force energy through, so I become a conduit for that. So it's not me, it's not my energy, it's universal life force energy that's coming through. And so it's an intelligence of its own. And so I always say, whatever you need will come through for Reiki. So it can look different for everyone, right? Yeah, so with that, I guess that would be a good place to talk about some of the benefits, right? So a very common thing that I see is people having less anxiety, feeling a sense of peace and relaxation, calmness. I've definitely had people have success with if they came in with a headache or pain of some sort, and we incorporate some energy and Reiki healing. And then I've had people, when on the table, be like, my headache's completely gone. So it's just really, really powerful, and bring through what you need, which is incredible. I feel really lucky to get to work with it. So that's with Reiki. I feel like that's a good gist of that. And its connection to the chakras is there's hand positions that we use in Reiki that essentially cover or address all 7 main chakras. And chakras are just the main energy wheels within the body. And so we have many more than 7, but there's like 7 main ones. So that's what we'll talk about now. And probably the most like commonly known or worked with, I would say. So we'll start from the root. It lays at the base of the spine. And it is, I connected a lot with grounding. Our material needs can be expressed through that area. Right above that, right below the navel, is the sacral chakra. This is the house for, I really often connect it with creativity and our sexual energy, and for women, like really thinking about like the womb space and, kind of some of that. And then above that, so the third chakra, it's right above the navel and right below the rib cage, is the solar plexus. And this area, I feel like, is really connected with our willpower, our drive, kind of like that inner fire, if you will. And I often find that it can be related to like that sense of control. At least I know that's very true for myself.
Oh yeah.
Above that, then we get into the heart. So kind of center of the chest there. And it's the heart, right? So it's our most magnetic area, I feel like, and our area for, unconditional love and, a lot of that. So it's just your beautiful heart. I'm sure we're all familiar. Above that, then you have the throat chakra. So just located right in the throat, a lot with, speaking and maybe expressing, your truth or just expression in general, can be really connected to that area. Then we move up to the third eye, so the point kind of in between the eyebrows there. So this area I really connect with, like the inner, is known to be connected with the inner wisdom and your intuition, kind of that knowing that we have. And I often really see it come through a lot as like, can I see the big picture? Or, that kind of concept of like being able to see clearly. That seems to be a really big one. And then the crown chakra, so top of the head. And that is, really connected with the, like greater source or source energy, whatever language you want to use here, higher consciousness, that kind of connection, and being open to that. And I often will see it come through as like the guidance that universe wants to kind of give us, it wants to come in and access that way. Or sometimes it can also be connected with like, again, that clouded mind, more of the mind feeling.
No, thank you. And I think that's helpful for people, because I know, like you were saying, that the chakra reading was one of your favorite parts. I always enjoy that part whenever we've done that, because it does. I usually have an idea of what I'm feeling, but it is always amazing when you go through the reading and you really do feel it. Like I know I feel comfortable enough to share. Like for me, I know the solar plexus and the heart chakra and the throat chakra were ones that like I was working through, and especially that time when I came to you, that made a lot of sense for me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling really like out of control of things and feeling just a lot of issues in my gut, which is where where the solar plexus is, and feeling really heavy just with everything in the world and happening and that. And then definitely like not feeling like I could use my voice in a lot of ways and feeling clogged there, or not feeling heard. And it's hard to explain, but yeah, just having you talk about that just really helped me notice, like, oh yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense why I've been feeling it. Because even like my throat, I think I shared with you with that one. Like I typically would feel constraint in my throat a lot, and that's really cleared up since I've been meeting with you.
Good. Yay! Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that. Well, and like what you're saying, I think that's a big part of it for many people that I've noticed, and for myself too, is it can be extremely validating. You're like walking in and you're in the thick of whatever is going on in life, and you're feeling all these things or noticing, maybe physical sensations like you're talking about with the throat and all of that. And then it's like, okay, then we tap into this subtle body, this subtle energy that is a part of you. And it's like, okay, well, there's some stuff showing up here. So then from there, from the readings, then we incorporate Reiki if it is still feeling good for you or for the client. And then we incorporate that Reiki, which can begin the process of clearing or healing, balancing, whatever is needed to come through. And so it already starts and already gives you something to not only have an awareness or validation of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's what I was feeling or noticing, to then being able to like start that process of healing or transmuting and going from there. And it also leaves you, like I was saying, with that information of, okay, maybe this is an area to just give a little attention to, which I know you definitely took that and worked with it. And then it's so fun, and I love doing it. I've had a handful of clients that do it where we do it, one time they get that kind of base, and then maybe I see them in another month or a few weeks, whenever it is, and we do it again. We can check in and see, and again, can be so validating to the work that you've been putting in, or the changes that you've made in your life, and getting to see how they're showing up in that subtle energy, and how much power we actually have, to tap into that and co-create our experience and our health,
Oh yeah. And it's so exciting too to see that we're finally seeing more mainstream acceptance, because I feel like Reiki and previous episode, earlier episode, we were just talking with a yoga therapist, Kirby, Kirby Culbertson.
Yeah, love Kirby. Shout out Kirby.
And just how all of these holistic practices, these ancient healing practices are finally coming back, because now it all translates with EMDR too. Like when you were talking to me about the visualization and paying attention, like what you're just saying now and in our sessions, it even tracks with what I know as like a therapist using EMDR, attachment-based therapies, like just being mindful. The body is telling you something. And I think incorporating the part about energy, that's important too, because we're finding like we do emit energy that impacts other people's energy. We can absorb too. The pandemic really opened a lot of research around the idea of the collective consciousness, and how that can impact us. That's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it is really cool. And I love hearing that there's a connection there with the EMDR and the therapy, and seeing some of that come through. Like, those mindfulness exercises. And that's kind of what I feel like it can be, as a springboard almost for some of the mindfulness. And often the first thing is really bringing that awareness piece in, right?
Yes.
So you probably see that a lot with therapy, and just, cultivating that and then going from there. And this component, this offering that I have, I feel like is a place to start some of that, or build some of it, and help build like that empowerment component and that confidence component of the work that we're doing. So that's been really beautiful. And I would say that's like one of the coolest benefits that I've had, or like feedback that I've received from a few people that I've done this work with, is that they're like, yeah, that stuck feeling isn't really as present, or just having, it can lead to like bigger breakthroughs sometimes. Like, no guarantees, but at the same time, it's not uncommon, I think, especially as you're, diving and working with it a little bit more. And it's similar, that to me feels like a similar connection, at least personally, to like when I've done EMDR in the past. And it's like, wow, like I'm really tapping into some places in myself that are just more accessible now, or, going deeper to heal and, acknowledge what's actually going on.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been so helpful. Like, I know the stuff that we talked about, I would take to my therapist to process, because now I had an awareness, or I had access to it now, which I also see so much in EMDR therapy. I'm doing talk therapy right now, but like, even when I've done EMDR therapy with clients now myself, like that, being able to access that part of the body and find ways to lower that barrier is so helpful. And what I appreciate too, I know, I don't know if all Reiki practitioners do this, but I also appreciate the practices that you give, like the violet flame meditation that you taught me is just been very, very helpful. I've even taught it to my clients to help them.
Amazing. I love that so much. I don't know that all practitioners do that. I think that I've adopted that just through my own experience and path, for sure. So the violet flame, I was introduced to that in my Reiki trainings, but you don't have to, be receiving Reiki to utilize that technique by any means. And it's just a powerful tool to clear, transmute energy, and it can be really, really powerful, that one. So I'm so happy to hear that it served you and your clients. In terms of giving practices, for me, it's everything to have something to work with. And I believe that it's necessary part of the process. So whether you're in therapy or receiving body work or energy work, is what about that space in between when you're not with, your allies and your professionals that are helping you go there. We help you, amplify that healing process and, maybe open things up for you, but you have to show up for those appointments. And my hope is that people will always be showing up for themselves in between. And so if I can give, a recommendation or a practice if it's needed to work with in between, at least I know that the tool is available, for someone to continue to do that before maybe next time I see them, or next time they're able to get in with their therapist or whatever it is.
Oh, awesome. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I am curious too, because I'm still learning a lot about Reiki. I didn't realize there were different, which it makes sense that there are different kinds. The kind that you're attuned more to, the Sui Reiki. How does that differ from other forms?
Sure. So I'll be honest that I don't know a lot about other traditions or lineages. I know that Usui Sensei is connected, to my knowledge, with a lot of the other pathways into the work, but because he was essentially the founder of it. The story is that he was in Japan and he was under a waterfall and doing a meditation, and then all this downloads started coming in about Reiki and how to essentially share that. And so there's probably a lot more to that story, but in terms of that, that's my understanding, service level understanding of that part. And then I've heard of something called Holy Fire Reiki, which William Reed, I think it's his name, he, I believe, is kind of brought in that component. I I believe that's correct. So Reiki.org would have a lot of information around that pathway into Reiki, but I did not train through that. But it's a great resource to read about Reiki, about different offerings. You could find a teacher there or a practitioner there to work with. So yeah, that's definitely a great resource. And I think the Holy Fire component of stuff just has like another layer of maybe tools, is my understanding. So I'll go back to kind of what I'm trained in because I can speak more thoroughly about it. Level 1 is attunement. So you get what's called an attunement, which is essentially like opening the door for you to become a channel for Reiki. Anyone can do it and receive an attunement. So, you would go through a class to typically learn about the hand positions, maybe a history of it, some things like that. Grounding and shielding, which is very important if you're going to be doing this work to take care of yourself and not, be using your own energy like we were talking about. And then you would receive your attunement as well. So it's like that part of it in level 1, that's kind of like a level 1 class. And then from there, you can go into more advanced trainings where you would be introduced to what they call the Reiki symbols, which help just, there's various symbols that help with different things. So I use those a lot just because I've, trained to that point. I've been doing this for many years now. So it's like that I've realized is a pretty big part of my practice. And my understanding, or what I think happens with like this Holy Fire component or lineage, is that there might be some other symbols. But again, I'm not really trained in that, so I don't feel like I can speak to it fully.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's just something good. And just good, knowing about Reiki.org is really helpful, so people can read up more on the different lineages and see what fits for them. Could you also tell me a little bit about the, now I'm blanking on how to pronounce it, Ashiatsu massage? Mm-hmm. Love to hear more about that, how it differs from other massages, how you incorporate it with Reiki. Yeah,
so the Ashiatsu massage is actually something that I've chosen not to practice any longer. Because it's, but I did train in it. I did it for a few years. But it's pretty cool in terms of it's, so I don't know if you've ever seen the practitioners using the bars, like, or seen bars like above a massage table. So they're actually using their, they're using their feet to do the massage. And so it's really interesting because what happens is it's a broader, deeper pressure. So it's really, really great if you sit a lot and are just looking to like lengthen out. And yeah, it was a really interesting modality to train in and do, but it does require a little bit more, equipment, like bars on the ceiling, or you can get like portable bars that you like set up around the table. But it's an interesting one. I would say the most impactful for me, aside from like Reiki and craniosacral, which we've talked about, but in terms of continuing education I've done, was what's called phenomenal touch. And I really incorporate that to some degree or another in every session that I do. One of the big things that it taught me was to really work with the body in a more 3D way. So I'm not sure, can't remember exactly if we've done this in a session, but like I often will like reach under the body and kind of use that like gravitational force as part of it, or have like one hand, maybe under the shoulder and one hand on top, or, it just depends on what we're doing. But that's been super impactful in terms of flow and how I approach, just working with the body in that way. So that's been, a big one for me.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I don't know all of the different forms of massage, so that's okay. I can picture what that looks like now. But yeah, I think we definitely have done that, where you had your hand on either side and like used gravity, and that yeah, that has felt really helpful too.
Yeah, I think bringing that movement into a session, even in small ways, like, can be really impactful to getting release or allowing that body to like move and get some fluidity there. So I just find it to be super helpful and keeps it interesting. It keeps the brain from predicting what's going to happen next. I'll do a lot of like jostling or gentle shaking because it helps the brain in that at that point can't really keep up with what's going to happen, and so it's just like okay, and then it just kind of relaxes, which allows me then to either get a little deeper or more specific, or whatever that intention or goal there is in the moment. But that's a big one that I use a lot, and I would say that was also inspired through taking the phenomenal touch like first many moons ago. But yeah, and then I also want to speak to this because I think it's really important for people that might be looking to receive massage, or like if you were to get on my website, you're going to see a lot of modality options. And it's not to confuse anyone. It's not to like make, hopefully not feel overwhelmed. If you're ever in doubt, like with something like that, if you look and you see an option of like integrated approach or, I would say that's probably the most common term used for it is integrated session. I would say just go with that, because if you're working with a knowledgeable therapist that has, many modalities under their, in their toolbox in a sense, they're going to take that integrated approach and speak with you about what are you looking for, or your goals, or what are you feeling in your body. And then they're going to be able to pull from multiple modalities to make it a session that's right for you. So even though I have like deep tissue listed, or, what a Swedish like massage listed as options, those are all great options if you're like, oh, I know I really want like a flowy, like relaxing session, like Swedish is probably the way to go. But if you're like, and that's fine, you can book it specifically that way. But to be honest, all sessions to some degree are integrated approaches. Probably with any, I would imagine with any therapist, but I know especially with myself. Yeah.
That's really, really helpful advice. Thank you for sharing. Because I've seen that when I've tried to book past massage therapists or go like to different like spas and that kind of stuff, and they have all these different massages listed, and I don't even know what most of them are. But the integrated approach, that makes sense, because we're also individual. We need individualized treatment, especially with our body.
Right. Yeah. And I think when you get with a good therapist and someone that's knowledgeable, that's naturally going to come through. It's not going to be that like cookie cutter session. I will say that there are specific modalities where you would want to book it that way if that's what you want, like hot stone massage, right? That's going to take some preparation, or it's very more specific. So you might want to, think about that, like if you're looking for something like that, or like Reiki, if you want that, like you got to make sure that your practitioner is attuned to that or is offering that. So there are, some specialized type things. Prenatal is one as well. Like we need to know that if you are a woman and you're pregnant, because we're just going to be able to set up for you and approach the session in a way that's really going to support you with what's currently going on in your body. So there's, there are exceptions to that integrated rule, but also when in doubt, it's often the best default.
And that leads me right into my next question too. What are some recommendations or some advice you would give people if they are looking for either a massage therapist or a Reiki practitioner? What can people look for? You kind of went through the training of the Reiki practitioner, so I think that's helpful. But yeah, what should people look for? Or what questions should they ask?
Yeah. So I would say if you're looking, like if it's a entrepreneur, solo type practice like what I do, read the bio, read their bio, learn about what they want to put out there. You're going to learn a lot about that, about them, about what they offer from that just about section. And I would say that could actually be true even if you're at, a more corporation based. Like most of the time, they will have individual, practitioner bios there. So you can always look at that. I would say also, using your intuition too. If you look at someone's bio or you look at someone's website and you're feeling pulled and drawn to it, even if you don't really know why, there might be something there for you. So I would say that's something to look at. In terms of credentialing, it is important, right? Like you want to go somewhere that, someone has a license. It is a regulated field in terms of massage and body work, massage therapy. And so I personally did choose to put like my license number on like where my contact info is. I don't know that everyone does that. But if you were to find yourself at like a corporation type place, those places should be only employing licensed massage therapists or certified massage therapists. It could be either one. And then with Reiki, I really think when it comes to energy work, just following your intuition on what are you feeling from that person when you're with them, because it's so important that that person is, to me, I believe this has been true for my practice, is that I do a lot outside of my work to care for my own energetic state or to enhance that intuitive component. And so I think that people can feel that from me. And hopefully really, I think it really can come through in the work. So, if you're getting a grounded, like present vibe from someone, then that's usually a good sign.
Trust your intuition.
Yeah. I'm all about that.
That's really helpful, because I think some people can feel a little lost, like especially if they're newer to something like Reiki. What does it mean to be a master? What does it mean to be, what do these terms mean?
Well, I can speak to that component of it with like the master Reiki, or like why do I call myself a Reiki Master Practitioner instead of just Reiki Master? And so there can be a lot of ego attached to Reiki Master. And so that's the thing to just be aware of if you're looking for someone that practices. That's not always the case. That's just what we ended up naming it. But essentially what that means is that that person has gone through the levels of training that allow them then to be able to teach or do attunements for other people. So the reason why I personally say Reiki Master Practitioner is because I haven't yet taught a class or attuned somebody else, but I do have the training and ability to do that if when I'm ready to do it. So I like to throw that in there. I wouldn't say that everyone is going to do that, but for me, it just feels good to honor, like, yes, I have this knowledge and I could do this. It is something I'm working towards, and I want to bring forth in my career to be able to offer that. But it's also just something that hasn't happened yet. So I feel like, okay, I can acknowledge both. That I'm definitely not, teaching people for many years at this point or anything, but I still have that same level of competency around it. Yeah.
That's really helpful, because I've seen those different terms around, but it's helpful to know what the difference is. Do you think it seems like you're working towards leading trainings at some point? Is that a goal of yours?
It is, and I have one coming up. We're still figuring out all the details, but the end of April, so we're looking at April 22nd, 23rd, where what I will do in that is it's called anchoring for my teacher. She will be the main, facilitator of that class, and then she will do all the attunements, but I'll be there to like help hold space, step in certain areas where I feel like I can enhance or like bring things to the conversation. And that is really the first step to me to then feel like, okay, I might, start working towards organizing and offering my own classes in it. If you were to be in like Japan and going down the traditional, route, you would train and shadow your Reiki master, your teacher for many years. Obviously, we're in the West, it's a lot different, so you don't have to do that. But I do think that there is a lot of value in that mentoring and getting to see how a structure is and go through it. Because, for me, the level 1 Reiki attunement it really like blew me open to this world and to, up-leveling me and changing my frequency and what I was, able to tap into. And it's not always like that for people. Some people have that experience in a later training. Some people, it might not be a lot, but either way, like, such a big experience, but it can be. And so it's really important to be ready and able to hold that kind of energy if it does come up and support people through that. So I do think there's a lot of value there. And I do want to just give a shout out, since I'm talking about the class coming up, to Emily Seeley is my teacher with Third Eye Acupuncture and Wellness. And so she's who I'll be training with a little bit deeper to prepare eventually to teach classes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Will that be updated on your website as the details get figured out? And
Yeah, we're still planning all the things and getting it all organized, but I hope to have an email go out with the information for anyone that might be interested, and then I could put something on the website of just like, this is an upcoming thing. So yeah.
And I do want to also ask too about the women's circles. What are those? What can people expect if they do decide to attend that? How can they find out more about it?
Thanks for bringing it up. It's been such a great, fulfilling venture for me, and it's pretty new, but it's been incredible. So I trained with the Wild Woman Project in the fall of 2022, and now my best friend and I, Andrea Adams, we are coming together around the new moon every month to hold new moon women's circles. So in those circles, our main mission and goal is to empower women and to connect us back to the magic that's always available to us, and that happens through many subtleties that happen within circle, but meditation is a big component of those circles. So we really go inward and explore our inner world, and we often have a theme that comes up or is present for the circle that we then drop into that meditation to explore it further. But I think where the real magic happens is in the witnessing and being witnessed, and sitting like shoulder to shoulder with other women. That it's a structure that, although yes, Andrea and I are facilitating it, there's no hierarchy there. That it's that unity connection between all of us, and that a lot can happen. So it's a beautiful space to get to be in and to bring others into. And we also do some intention setting in those circles. So it's really important that we have this beautiful experience together, right? We all have our individual experiences through the meditation, or we see those lines of connection once we're sharing what came through for us, things like that. But the ritual and the intention setting component is so important, because it allows us to have the experience and then also walk away with something that we're going to continue to use and bring out into our life, right? So I feel like that's really vital. And I'm seeing a connection here as I talk about the, mystic being check-in and this, and it's like, I want you to be able to walk away with that gym and that something to work with and something to reflect on, and that empowered feeling from it. And yeah, it's been really beautiful. And so we're still exploring ways to do it.
It sounds like such an important space for women to be able to go to. How can people find out about it? Or so it's around the new moon each time, but do people sign up, or is it sort of like a drop-in?
Sure. So right now we've been doing Eventbrite invitations. So if it is something that you're interested in learning more about, I would find me either on Instagram or email me through my website would be a good place, and just let me know that you're interested and send an email that we could send that invite to. There is limited capacity. We do like to keep them intimate. And so far the circles have been a little bit more of like private invitation as we're kind of getting our roots and getting centered in it. But we are hoping to, anyone that has that interest, essentially having this list of people that when we're ready to launch the next circle, we send out the invite. And if you're able and interested to get your ticket, then you can, secure your spot and get a ticket. So that's the bigger goal, but we're still working up to opening them to the public. Yeah.
That makes sense. What is your Instagram handle and your email if anybody did want to reach out to you or learn more about the Women's Circle or really any of your services?
Sure. So Instagram, you can find me as Mystic Massage _Wellbeing. And then on my website, it's mymysticmassage.com. And then for the email there, it's info@mymysticmassage.com.
Awesome. I know too, I can speak to a session with you. It's very intimate. You're very personable. And I just really like how you really listen to what are my intentions, what are my goals, and then we form treatment from there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's such great feedback. And honestly, that's part of why I do it, is that's like one of my favorite components, I guess, of the work is really getting to connect deeply with people and hold that space for people to, explore their intentions, their goals. And it is really intimate. It can feel vulnerable. And I would say that's a big thing to kind of, tie back to what you're looking for in a practitioner. Just know that if you ever end up in a session and something isn't feeling right or isn't feeling safe, you have that power to end a session at any time. And, because it is close work, it is really inviting someone into your space and healing space, so just, again, following that intuition when it comes to a practitioner, because that's so important, that you're feeling safe, that you want to and are feeling ready to drop in a little bit deeper. I always think of sessions as being co-created. So just, I think that's important to acknowledge.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would say you feel very collaborative and you're very tuned in. And I would say that is important because I haven't always experienced that with massage, or like body work. You're very vulnerable in those moments, even if you're not trying to drop into something more emotionally vulnerable. You are on a table with somebody and they are touching your body, and that can feel very vulnerable. So having that trust and safety is just really important. I definitely feel that from you. It's just very comfortable.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's everything truly to be able to feel that way and to be able to create that space for people, because, sometimes we don't get that space in our life, right? And so it's like, that's an unfortunate reality sometimes. And so to be able to create those sacred spaces, whether it's in the massage and whether energy work is directly a part of it or not, or it's in a sacred circle with women, or whatever that capacity looks like, a Reiki class even is a very, safe space as well. So I think that that is so valuable. And I will say too, personally, I believe that what you're feeling from me comes from the practices that I have in place that I do outside of my work. So I'm really devoted to my Kundalini yoga practice and meditation practice. So it's something I do almost every day. I've been doing it for many, many years now, and it took, it's been a journey of its own, but I do believe that that helps me stay in a space that allows me to show up and be really present and to really know that what I'm bringing forth and bringing with me into the session is going to be good for the greater good. It is for me personally, but it also has that ripple effect. And I really want to talk about this, though, is that is how my business was actually created, was through those practices. I was in the middle of what they call a 40-day sadhana. So I was doing the same Kriya practice and meditation for 40 days. So you really build a relationship with that practice when you're doing that. And it also helps, with discipline. All sorts of magic is happening in that kind of space. So I'm in the middle of it. I was doing it with two of my dear, dear friends, and I had this whole opening, like breakthrough happen in the middle of one of the kriyas, the practices, that was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing. I want to be an entrepreneur. And it all came channeled through of like, this now is the time. I've been doing this for just over a decade, and very minimally, if ever, have I had the desire to own my own business until I broke through something there that was like, this is your truth and how you want to be expressing yourself moving forward. And It all just kind of came through that. So, there's, when I, I named the business Mystic Massage and Wellbeing, and it's like, I did that because there is something to that I don't think we can even really put into words. And that's how it was created. So it's, really powerful.
What a cool origin story. I got chills hearing that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I know. I even now, like, recounting it, I'm just kind of like, what? like that happened? Like, I mean, because not all practice, not every day is the practice yielding those kinds of breakthroughs. Sometimes it's like I'm having to, like, it's like self-care, right? It's like, okay, I guess I'm going to like go sit down and meditate, and you kind of like drag yourself to it. It's like that still can happen even after many years of doing it. But I think just that discipline and continuing to show up for yourself in whatever way that looks, for me, it looks like Sattva yoga, Kundalini yoga, like it looks like that. It looks like breath work, meditation, most of the time. But maybe that's not your pathway. Maybe it's, maybe it's just intentional journaling or, what, I don't know. There's so many tools, right? Like, thank God.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Samantha, thank you so much for being here. I've loved talking to you. Would love to have you back, and we can even dive deeper into maybe just some things, because like there's just so much wisdom and knowledge here.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt like when we were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I could talk about this part of it just the whole time. So I love that.
Yeah, would love to have you back, and we can just talk even more in depth about any of this, because it's just so interesting and so needed. We're in a world that just really needs healing, and anything that can get to the deeper root, and into the body, I think is just really necessary.
I believe that that's really a good way to think of it, is going to the root of the the modality or the experience or the trauma, whatever it is.
Such an amazing conversation. And it's always so cool to see how technology and research have advanced to a point where we can really see how the body, energy, and the mind all interact with each other and impact each other. It's just a really exciting time. Once again, that was Samantha Sprinkle with Mystic Massage Wellbeing. Check her out on Instagram. Handle is Mystic Massage _Wellbeing. And do check out her website. And I would recommend booking an integrated session with her or really any of her services at mymysticmassage.com. And like Samantha said, Reiki.org is a great resource if you want to learn more about Reiki. Well, I know I had a lot of fun today and learned a lot and really enjoyed the discussion. I hope you did as well. I hope to see you back at the Institute next week. Take care.